Mint 2025. I'm Mint Juror David Camarena, joined by Program Director John Cook. If you are in the cinema and you have just watched the film Burt, written and directed by Joe Burke, we are very pleased to have Joe with us here to talk more about the film. Joe, welcome, and thank you for sharing your film with Mint.
Yes, thank you. I hope everyone in the theater enjoyed it.
Yeah, I have a couple of things, well, I have a few things to say, but the characters in your film are very memorable. There's a realness to their problems as well as their emotions. There's a great chemistry between all the actors and the use of professional and non-professional actors. Is this a method you like to work with?
It really is. So just a quick backstory just for the audience. I met Burt 15 years ago. He was playing music at a restaurant, a little brunch place in Malibu. And he would walk around table to table playing music. And I just would go there on the weekends with my friends from time to time. And over the years, I just kept going back to seeing this guy play music and get to know him a little bit. And so long story shorter, me and Oliver Cooper both sort of met him individually and kind of both fell in love with this guy, his spirit, his optimism, his music, his outlook on life. And cut to 2017, 2018, made a short film that we were casting. And we were always thinking about how can we put that guy, Burt Berger, in a movie of ours, something that we would do. And we had this little role in the short film called Another Cancer Movie that we made with Oliver's actual Aunt Becca, again, non-actors. She was going through chemo for real. She's doing okay now, thank God. But we had this little heartfelt dark comedy we made, and there was one role in the movie like Burt Berger should play this role. So we drove to Malibu the next day, kind of introduced ourselves. He said, "Yeah, sure, guys, I'd love to do it. It'll be great." And so he comes out to the house for one day. He shoots this short film, and it was after that I was like, "Wow, this guy is not only just wonderful and lovely and special." He's really funny on screen and really honest on screen. And so I kind of started spending time with him over the course of like 3, 4, 5 years. He'd come to my apartment in Studio City. He's like, you want to smoke some pot? I'm like, ah, I'm good. He's like, let's smoke some pot. So he like smoked some pot. He told me his life story, tell me about all these things. And it got to a point where it's like, I have to make a movie with this guy. And I met his I went to his house to actually meet his real life roommate, Steve, at Steve's actual house. Me and Oliver actually went over to the house. The washer and dryer was sitting there in the middle of their living room for real. That we ended up being like, well, that's going in the movie. And it just sort of kind of spiraled into this thing where it's like, okay, like we got something here. Let's fast track this. And Oliver's like, I can get a little bit of money. I can get like $7,000. Can we do it for that? And I was like, we'll make it work. How many days do you need? I don't know, 7. And then a month later, we were shooting the movie. So mixing real life actors, or sorry, actors like Oliver with real life people like Burt and Steve is very similar to our first feature. Oliver and I made a first feature called Four Dogs, again with his Aunt Becca, a decade prior. And it was a similar thing. It's sort of tapping into a real life, real world, real house and designing a movie around an actual environment with real people, which, yes, we do like it. There's something really fun, special, unique about, bringing these people to the screen.
Very good. That's,
Um,
that's a really interesting story, like how you everything got started.
It's crazy, and there's so much nuance that I can get to later. But like the guy on the bike in the beginning of the movie that rides up to the house, who Burt introduces him, that's his neighbor Mikey, who was just right. That was the first scene we shot the entire movie, and he's just riding his bike by the house, and we're
Oh,
like, Burt,
wow.
who's that guy? He's like, oh, that's Mikey. Does he want to be in the movie? I'll ask him. And then he goes and asks him. He comes back. He said no, and then Oliver's like, no, we have to get this guy in the movie. And so we're like, hey, it would take like 10 minutes of your time. All you got to do is ride your bike from there to there, say these 3 lines. He signed a quick actor release form. We shot that scene in the first, 15 minutes of the shoot. It was wonderful. It's in the trailer. It's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. And there you go. So we were embracing Burt's world. We had a completely full 30-page outline with all the details, all the beats. We had everything basically figured out, but we also left room for the magic, and that's why it's fun.
Very good. Oh, that's interesting.
so I have a follow-up question of that. So
Sure.
you've got Bert and Steve on one hand, who are inexperienced, non-professional actors, and then you got Sammy and Sylvia on the other hand,
Yeah.
who are experienced. Were you concerned about how those performances were going to blend together? And because I just feel like um, the Bert and Steve characters just they had no trace whatsoever of any kind of self-consciousness.
Yeah,
I think like they're just naturals,
totally.
and I'm just wondering like how did you make those two sort of sensibilities blend together?
Great question. So, the person who kind of thought about this the most in the pre-production phase was actor Oliver Cooper, Oliver, who made the movie with me, because his whole concern was like, Burt and Steve are so interesting and so real. He's like, I don't want to be the oddball out. I don't want to be the, oh, well, that guy's the actor and they're the real interesting people. Oliver, I did spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to build the Sammy character, and Oliver was great at this, of making sure that he blended into the world and was not like the actor sticking out from the cast, because Burt and Steve were so interesting and authentic, and it really works. And I think that what's cool is, we shot this movie with 2 cameras, and that's the whole trick. And people ask, how do we do this in 7 days for very little money, tiny crew? We borrowed 2 cameras from 2 different friends, and we cross shot every scene. So if Burt and Sammy, or Burt and Oliver's character, are sitting on the couch talking, or Burt and Steve or whatever, we have a camera on one character, a camera on the other character, and we're running the scene. And it allowed me, who edited the movie, to really build these scenes in the post-production. So all the conversations were authentic. It allowed for a little room for improv. It allowed for all the happy accidents, because we're covering both sides at the same time, and it allowed to move twice as fast. And so basically, Oliver, being in the scene was able to kind of, run the scenes with Burt and give Burt, kind of tee Burt up for the answers that we need to have been said.
What are some of your cinematic influences for this film?
I'll tell you, my big inspiration is like Alexander Payne, for example. Obviously, Nebraska and Sideways are 2 of my favorite movies. He's just so good with character relationships. Paul Thomas Anderson's Punch Drunk Love is probably my favorite movie of all time. And there's a lot of Punch Drunk Love spirit in Burt, in terms of sort of having this sort of, innocent guy being taken advantage of by these sort of like, offbeat characters, and the way that Burt kind of confronts Sylvia at the end in a very human way. There's not a big explosion, but it's more of a, person to person sort of confrontation, very Punch Drunk Love influence. And I love movies that just have humor, heart, drama, and sort of a thrill element mixed in. Like I've been sort of trying to make a movie like that for a while, and I feel like we finally kind of accomplished that sort of combination of those genres, sort of.
I think it was very successful, and I could see the influences, especially the Alexander Payne influence. I'm a big fan of Sideways myself. So
yeah, so good.
I was going to ask you also, the main character is such a positive presence within the film, especially on Sammy, so much so that he eventually becomes a part of his life. Was this something you had in mind when you started writing?
Great question. Yeah, it was. The whole project of this movie, Burt, is to honor our friend Burt Berger, who is again, a beautiful soul, beautiful person, great spirit, great musician, has Parkinson's in real life. So does my dad, who also has Parkinson's. Coincidentally, Burt and my dad are the exact same age. So there's a lot of personal kind of father-son stuff going on in this making of this movie. But I wanted to, the biggest thing was to capture Burt's spirit. I want the world to meet this guy Burt, and that's why I love traveling around the country with this movie right now, and eventually releasing it officially next year. Is people can finally meet this guy. I think he's infectious. I think it's so refreshing to see someone who has such a beautiful outlook on life, despite circumstances of getting older and being sick with Parkinson's and all these things, and still a dreamer. He still dreams of the music days, even though it's probably not going to be the dream he always had. But now this movie is his legacy. This movie has his music in it. It's sort of like not any of us could have predicted at this point in his life, especially Burt. But now he's got this beautiful thing that will live on forever, outlive all of us. This beautiful, legacy film. And so I wanted to make sure the ending was this heartfelt gut punch in a good way, where Sammy is won over by Burt. I always knew it had to be a happy ending, even with the little surprise at the end of Burt getting shot, and maybe he is, maybe he's not gonna make it, but then quickly reveal him at the end when I go see it in the theater with a full audience, and everyone cheers when Burt walks back on the screen at the end there at the park. And it's just such a beautiful, I mean, I really love the ending of this movie. It's just really, it hits exactly the note that I was hoping to hit, and just lucky enough we did it.
I had another question. I like the film's style, especially the black and white photography. Why did you decide to use this look?
Yeah, great question. The black and white kind of stemmed from 2 areas. One, we did a test shoot with Stephen Burt a few months prior, just a little camera I borrowed from a friend. And we ended up making the little 10-minute scene that we shot in black and white just to test it out. And it really did fit so well. It was perfect for their faces, for the environment. It kind of gave it this timeless feel. It just, I knew, and I'm not one to necessarily make a black and white movie, but it just, for some reason, there's something about it that just really worked perfectly. It was better for our budget. It was better for what we were trying to do on a tiny budget. It's very forgiving. We could just sort of blend the world. It kind of blended all the elements perfectly in this black and white format, but also it sort of plays into this sort of timeless classic feel, and sort of this as my cinematographer Daniel Kenji Levin likes to say, kind of already you watch the movie and it already feels like a memory, you know, timeless, everything's in the past, kind of fading away, bittersweet energy, which just felt very appropriate for sort of the nature of the movie and just sort of how we're, you know, capturing and photographing these guys.
I had one small question. How big was your crew?
Yeah, well, in this case with Burt, the crew is literally me, Kenji, and our sound guy Rob. Obviously, Rob's doing the production sound, so it was me and Kenji. I was B cam operator. Kenji was A cam operator. I would help, you know, pull focus or set up lights. We didn't have that many lights, but a couple lights. And Kenji did. I mean, Kenji was, you know, I was transferring cards and doing the DIT while Kenji was setting up the shots in the next room, and it was. I mean, as bare bones as you can imagine, that's what it was. But there was something really special and fun about working that way. And it just really, I don't know, there was a freedom to it. And even Kenji was skeptical at first because he is not used to being so bare bones.
I would like to ask the budget question. So you
Sure.
said 7,000. So was that just your out-of-pocket expense? That's not including all your in-kind and all that.
Yeah. So basically, the production itself, the 7 day shoot, cost us 7,000. That
Mhm.
was to get car drives. That was to pay some of the actors a daily rate. That was to rent some of the, you know, to pay Steve to shoot at his house, to rent the trailer. You know, we didn't really rent the trailer, but paid the woman who lived at the trailer, Donna, who plays the landlord in that one scene. That was actually her trailer, and she was very sweet. And I asked her to be in the movie, and she did a great job. And you know, we kind of we went to the beach and like guerrilla shot the beach. You know, we didn't have any permits for that, but it was like only a few of us. So, you know, we skated by bare minimum. And then after I edited the movie, we used the good cut of the film I had to raise one round from one investor in Ohio that we knew, finishing funds, so we could pay for the original score, pay for the 5-1 sound mix, get the DCP, submit to film festivals, do, you know, some stuff in post that we need to get done. We basically got from pre-production through production to the final, to like the fine cut of the edit for $7,000. So we really made really far, and then that last one investor to come in with that 20,000 to kind of give us that final boost. But
Mhm.
you know, for a movie, be all in at 27K right now. You know, it's pretty small budget. So
Do you feel like this is sustainable for you where you could just go out and do this a bunch more times, or did you
great,
and did you enjoy working this way?
great question. Yes, definitely enjoy working this way. I'm a bit of a control freak in the sense that like if I can kind of get my vision across, but I don't have, you know, it's a small crew, but like there's no one I have to answer to. I'm kind of like, you know, I'm the producer, director, writer. I can just sort of make my movie. I think I thrive in that environment. I am aware that like you got to make a living and pay rent. So like it's all going to come down to the self-distribution model. If we can distribute this movie and actually, you know, do the legwork to get this out there and actually succeed in those numbers, and you know, I think we can. I think there's a version where this movie can, you know, I'm really proud of it. I think the word of mouth will really help when we release it next year. If we can, you know, bring in some money and pay our investors back, and I'll make a little bit of money off it, then it is repeatable. You know, and that's sort of the big question mark is just what does the distribution on this movie look like next year through a self-distribution model, which is what we're probably going to embrace. But I'm confident. I'm really excited. I'm confident, and we'll see where it goes. So I'll have a better answer for you next year in terms of if this is sustainable. But I think there is a version that this is sustainable. It's just maybe slightly bigger budgets.
Would you encourage young filmmakers to work on a budget of this size, or to just people that are just starting out?
Yes.
Are you a DIY evangelist?
Yes, yes, I am. I really am. Go out there and make cool stuff. Make, you know, it's not about the camera. It's about the story. It's about your vision. It's about the themes and the ideas you want to share. And I will say the trick is this. You got to know how to edit. That's the real trick. It's actually not about money and it's not about the equipment. It's about understanding how to edit a movie. If you know what you need to shoot to tell the story you're trying to tell, and you know what shots you need, you know what moments you need, you know what coverage you need. If you know how to, and because you got to think about the edit before you actually shoot the movie, so you know what shots you need. If you understand editing and you're a good editor, that's the secret. So if everyone asks like, how did you do it? How'd you do it? It's because I'm a professional editor. That's our secret. So if you're watching this, the last thing I want to say is just, there's three little things that if the audience wants to support this movie, it's very simple. One, word of mouth, tell your friends about it. And on the website, burtthemovie.com, you can put your email address in there and just join our mailing list, and we'll just notify you when the movie officially releases next year. That's a great way. Two, a good review on Letterboxd, or IMDb if you want to give it a good review. And three, just find us on social media. I'm at Joe Burke Film, and I post there all the time about the movie and what we're doing next. And so those are the three easy ways to kind of support our career, support our movie. When the movie comes out next year, we are going to be raising money for Parkinson's on the initial release as well. So a lot of good things in the works. We are touring in different cities still, playing some festivals, playing some independent movie theaters. So please follow along at burtthemovie.com or follow me on social media. It'd be great.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sure the audience really enjoyed the film. The programming team really enjoyed your film. We're really glad to have you part of Mint. Your film is just exactly the kind of film that we like to show. I think you really embody the spirit of this festival. So thank you for this film. Thank you for submitting, and we wish you the best with future life of this film and your future projects.
Thank you, John. Thank you, David. It's been an honor, and hopefully I can be there next time with the next project in person. And I really appreciate you guys sharing Burt with your community.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Joe.
Appreciate it.